Hans-Joachim Stuck, who is obviously a legend.
Okay.
He told me some stories that I can't repeat, but all I say is there's a story that I'd heard about distracting a teammate by lifting up someone's shirt on a pit straight. And I always thought it was a rumor, but no, he told it. He just came over, and then we'd never met him before, and he just started telling me the story, and I was like, this is amazing. Welcome back to the Gassing Station, the podcast that I've not thought of one this week. It's nearly Christmas, so the podcast that goes digging through the PistonHeads forums like Scrooge digs through the depths of his soul to find a crumb of Christmas spirit so that his soul is saved.
That's dark.
Yeah. Well, strong start for the podcast.
Yes.
I'm Cam Tate, and joining me as ever is Sam Sheehan. Sam, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm very well. How are you doing, Cam?
Yeah, well, I'm doing a lot better than
Get it off
that
your chest.
Horrible intro. Good Lord. If you've stuck through, this is the Gassing Station podcast, and if you listened to last week's episode, you would have heard that Sam came on with some good news, and we were just quickly talking off air because we do like to plan for these things. You've got some more.
Yes.
Good news.
Same kind of good news. Remember how the Alpine A110 may come back with a petrol engine? That was the news from last week. Well, the same thing might be happening with the Abarth 500. Abarth 500 obviously is already out, but it's electric. It's the 500e. Sales are not brilliant.
No.
I don't think
Never.
they're particularly good. I've heard that the factory in Italy where they produce all of their cars has had to slow down quite a bit. That was obviously partly down to the fact that they also didn't have a petrol normal 500 from Fiat. That has now been fixed, and they now have a hybrid one of those. So what they had to do was evolve. I mean, you could say evolve, you could say cut and shut the platform to put a petrol engine with a hybrid, little very small hybrid system into it. That obviously naturally led to all of the motoring journalists going, when will you do the same with the Abarth? They didn't say, we're not going to do that. In fact, they said, we're thinking about it. So much so that we've actually investigated, and they call it a study. We're doing a study to see what engines would fit. Now, the problem they have is that platform was never designed to have an engine. So they don't have much space to play with in what is now an engine bay, but would have previously been electric gubbins bay. So it won't be a 1.4 turbo. I don't think that would get through Euro 7, but it might be, and this is me doing a joining of dots again, a 1.2 hybrid system that will be familiar from other Stellantis group cars. It might be that. That's not confirmed.
Just like tuned up.
Has 135 horsepower and a 208 Peugeot. So you can imagine them getting that with a bit of electric oomph and a bit more petrol oomph to 160-ish, which would be on the money of the original modern Abarth 500.
Now, yeah, this is purely speculative,
yes.
But it does kind of make you think because you won't believe this, but a lot of Stellantis cars, they share a lot of components. And so it does make you think, like, well, maybe if they do this, maybe they could do it for other similar cars. Like the aforementioned 208 GTI. There's the E208 GTI that was announced at Le Mans this year, which did look pretty cool.
Yeah.
But when it's electric only, you're like, okay, I know they've got to do it and whatever. But it's like, if that had a peppy little, combustion engine in it, that'd be great fun. In
fact, every time I open my Instagram, this makes sense related to what we're talking about, I promise. There's a few notifications in there because I posted a video as they pulled the covers off that 208. But I titled the video as Peugeot 208 GTI back or something like that. Bit cheeky of me. I knew what it would do. All I get is constant comments in various languages, by the way. Sometimes it's in complete just characters. So some of the Asian languages where they're not writing in, our whatever letters we're using.
They're so mad.
Yeah, but they're always, if I click C translation, it's almost always the same thing. No petrol, what? EV, or... So I think you're right. And I'm sure Peugeot they won't be looking at my Instagram feed, but I'm sure they're getting their fair share of messages as well. They'll be aware of that. So if this is what's happening at Fiat and Abarth with the 500s, then it's not too hard to imagine that sort of thinking carrying its way across the brand and the group.
Lancia Ypsilon as well, a car that we don't get in the UK, but they're bringing to rallying. We did a whole podcast on it. They're rallying it next year in WRC2. Well, that'd be pretty cool if we got an HF Integrale version of something like that. That would be so cool. So I think what I'm going to task you with now, Sam, for every podcast that we're on, I want you to start convincing car manufacturers to release a petrol variant of their electric performance car, so that you always have just this steady stream of good news to bring us of like, I would love that. So yeah, very good news. Otherwise, I've been driving something.
Oh my god.
I know.
Road users beware.
They actually let me out to go and drive something. The thing is, I used to drive quite a lot of stuff at PistonHeads, but now they don't really let me out of this room. So I just sit in here, I talk, I edit the podcast, and then by the time I'm done, Sam's here, ready to do another one.
They can't see you've got a full bedroom behind there, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. They can't see the bed behind it. No. And it's like I won't call it a prison.
Yes, but the bars are quite threatening but on the windows.
Exactly. I can go out to the shops. Yeah. But no, I was able to go and drive a car this time. I just can't talk about it at the moment because it's going to be my PH favourite car of the year. So you can guess all you want. I think you're probably not going to get it, mainly because I've not driven a GTI Yaris of any kind this year. But I will be able to talk about that on the next podcast, I think, which would be just before Christmas. What I can talk about, though, is a car that will be live on PistonHeads auctions. Don't worry, this isn't a plug. I'm not trying to say, hey, go and buy this. Well, it would be great if you did. It's just really flipping cool. Yeah. We've got a Ford Escort RS Cosworth rally car up for auction. It's decked in the old Ford, like the Valvoline livery. Yeah. So it's the white with blue accents, the big Ford logos down the side. It is epically cool. This is the one that I always remember from like V Rally. Yeah. I was just about to say, I've not seen one not pixelated before. I know. I'm looking at it. Like, oh yeah, look, it's actually got lines that are straight, not jagged. That's a really good point of cars that you've not actually seen in real life, but you played on computer games. This is absolutely one of those. This was a V Rally car and a Gran Turismo 4 car. Yeah. I think it was on GT3, but I didn't have that as a kid. It looks fantastic. It's an X-Works M Sport car. It's believed to be an X-Works M Sport car. Group N, so it's not a WRC car. However, it was used, we believe it was used because it's a little hard sometimes to get all the specific details of a historic race and rally car, kind of aside from talking to the actual person and then going, yes, those VINs match up with what I remember driving. Mm-hmm. But all the signs point to this being a recce car driven by Colin McRae and Nicky Grist. That makes it even harder because I was thinking when you were saying that, I was like, one thing you can do is go through the back catalogue of motorsport results or even the photography, but they're unlikely to have written that. It's not going to be in a results page if it's done the recce. And recce cars are actually dead cool. Yeah. So I went to Toyota Gazoo Racing Europe not Europe, I mean with the rally team. So because Europe's based in Germany, I believe. Yeah. That's the WEC team. This was the rally team, so it was based in Finland in the middle of nowhere. And they had their recce cars, and they're basically rallied up versions of standard GR Yarises. Oh, so cool. And it's so cool. People use all different kinds of recce cars. Some people use like 1 series, which is really odd. But the Toyota lot use old GR Yarises. So they are pretty cool. And I've only learned about this recently. But those recce cars are basically, they do the whole rally in them because that's how it works. You have to do the rally in that car to see where you're going, to get your pace notes, make any alterations. And then you go and do the run in your actual car. So Colin McRae very likely did a rally in this car, just not at the sort of speeds that he would have done in an actual rally car, which means it's actually usable. And also, with Colin McRae doing rallies, he often ended up on his side, upside down. But still finishing them in many cases. Yeah, absolutely, which is what made him such a legend. Yeah. So, definitely a ridiculously cool car to bid on, with just fantastic history. It will be live by the time this podcast goes up. So if you're listening to this on launch day, go and bid ASAP because it will end just a few days after this goes up. Oh, what car. What a car. But from one epic car to another, our first topic of the day, Sam Sheehan. And it is, I'm not sure if you've been digging through the PistonHeads homepage recently, but it's an epic story of an Aston Martin DB5 that has been restored by Aston Martin Works.
Oh, that has the money ticker thing going in my mind and my eyes. Yeah,
absolutely.
Many of those.
You might think, oh yeah, well that's kind of their job, is to restore old cars. The great thing about this though is it was a DB5 that was purchased for £900. £900, not
1,000.
No, not 90, but £900.
Wow.
Admittedly, that was back in 1973. But
right.
It's a fantastic story. So I'll quickly walk you through it, because it's just a really lovely tale that it kind of warms your heart. It's a nice Christmas tale of happiness and cheer.
You need a bit of that.
Or holiday cheer is probably what I should say. But anyway, so it was bought by a guy called John Williams in 1973 when he was just 19 years old.
He was 19.
19 years old.
And he bought a DB5.
Yes, he did. Yes.
I was trying to see how many shots of tequila I could do.
I know. Well, maybe that's why we don't have DB5s.
Oh.
Yeah. And the other reason for that is that £900 is not a lot of money. But even for 1973, I wasn't around then, so anyone who was born who was around 1973, you feel free to disagree with me. But if we take an inflation calculator and apply it to earliest we can do at the moment is October 2025. That works out as £9,879.
So just under 10k.
Yeah, so I think you could maybe get a leggy DB7 for that sort of money. But yes, not a lot of money at all for an Aston Martin DB5.
Yeah. But for a 19-year-old, that's very impressive. So well done, John Williams.
And it wasn't a snotter either, by the look of it. So it was a right-hand drive, so it wasn't like it just wound up here from Europe. It was finished in silver birch, which I've only seen the pictures of it like rusted out and looking quite mangly, and it's almost a bluey colour, but you realise that's just oxidisation of the paint. That's not actually how it looks. Silver birch is, it's like James Bond's DB5 colour, so it's a proper silver. And it also had the Weber carved Vantage engine in it as well, of which 39 were made.
Wow.
And from my research, I believe that was one of the more desirable of the DB5s.
Yeah.
So he got a sweet DB5. He used it daily until 1977, of when he was moved to the Middle East for a new job, and it was left behind on the drive and remains there right up until 2022, I believe. Now, John's wife, Sue, said that it must have got into quite a sorry state quite quickly, because she was saying that children used to go and play on the car, jumping on it, jumping inside of it. It basically became a play area, and it was falling apart so much that the exhaust just popped off one day.
Oh my God, with children around, that's rusty metallic objects.
Yeah, that's I've grazed my knee on this, and there's a bit of rusty metal sticking out from it.
Oh God.
I
like rusty spoons. No, it's rusty exhaust.
Have you got your tuberculosis shot? Is it TB that's caused by? It's something horrible by rusty stuff. So I don't know the ins and outs of kind of what was agreed on with the owner, John, and Aston Martin Works, but I think from the quotes that I've read elsewhere, he saved up some money, quite a bit by the sounds of it, went to Aston Martin Works in 2022 and said, could you kindly fix my DB5 for me, please? Which they did after 2,500 man hours.
Wow.
So that is hands-on with the car, huge amount of time, overhauling the chassis, frame, aluminium panels, paintwork, powertrain, and everything, just so that it could be road ready.
I guess the good thing is, because it's aluminium bodied, you probably could have saved all of that. And it's, you think of Trigger's broom, don't you?
Yeah.
The steel frame chassis underneath maybe would have been replaced, I presume. But it's probably quite a lot of it has been saved.
The interesting thing is, so we have pictures. If you go to the article, it will be. You might have to go back a couple of pages on the PistonHeads own page, but the article will be up, and you'll notice it because it's got a very flaky DB5 on the front. It does look like it's in a really sorry state, but you actually just pointed out that that's basically the surface, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Underneath, you can see it's kind of flaking around the DB5 logo, but yeah, underneath it looks in mint condition.
You can see a lot of the stuff falling off it is from the center of the underneath. It's not like the bodywork or around the sills, which you'd get on other cars. But this does seem. I presume it's probably. I'm assuming they can replace the entire chassis or frame underneath and just drop the body on, and so to most people, it's the same car, isn't it?
I'm about to say, I think in the restoration world, people can get a bit funny about how original a car is. I mean, it'll maintain the same chassis and it will be the same body because it does look like it's in relatively good nick. But there's no, I've spent some time with the chaps at TWR, and having a look at the XJSs that ultimately become the Supercat, and the cars they're dealing with are, I mean, they're just, I'm surprised that they call them donor cars because they're just buckets.
Yeah.
People come in with a bucket of rust and they go, can you turn this into a TWR Supercat, please? And I have no idea how they do it, but they've got these massive gaping holes in the side of them of rust and it's just a horrible state.
Yeah, that's a good news story though for those cars, isn't it? Because they would have probably gone too far. You've not just saved them, you've brought them back from the dead and they've lived their best life.
Absolutely.
As long as they've got the chassis number on them.
Yeah, I should probably do a bit more research into what's the environmental impact of restoring a car versus, scrapping it or whatever. But I'm very much of the opinion that, keeping an old classic like that going is much better than just buying new all the time because you're just then adding onto the pile on top of that. It's like, why not just keep it going instead of having this massive load of waste? So it's a great thing in that regard. And with something like an XJS, I mean, that literally will, on the positive side, it will return itself to the earth. Mm-hmm. But it's nice that it can have a new lease of life as a Supercat, particularly as they built so many XJSs. But so going back to this DB5, the standard that it's been built to is absolutely astonishing because it looks like a brand new car essentially. Yeah. I think that the number I've seen kind of going around of how much was spent on its restoration was kind of in the mid six figures.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But this is a car that once, with all of it being done, will probably be potentially tickling seven figures.
Yeah.
So it's for John, it's a great investment by the sound of it, and he's got a really good story out of it. It's just so wonderful to see a car that's been neglected like this has just been given a new lease of life.
I'm amazed, by the way, that it was sat on a driveway. I know the kids were playing on it and stuff. Where was it? Because, even you see cars sitting around on driveways and then you hear stories of things being, Fiestas from the 80s being nicked and stuff. So a DB5, most people probably know that's worth a lot of money even as a frame. Well, I think, how was that safe on a driveway?
I think people steal cars for various different reasons. Maybe you're right, actually. I think it's the reason cars are stolen now is going to be different for the reason that cars were stolen in the 80s. Maybe I think, I didn't grow up in the 80s, so I can't speak from experience, but one would imagine that it's more of I've managed to get myself hot and over or something like that. Would have been easy to break into.
Oh yeah.
And then, there probably wasn't nearly as much tracking back then. So it's like, hey, I've got this. Whereas now it's more like rip the bumpers off and go and flog them abroad,
Well, that's it. Yeah, put them in a shipping container and then sell them elsewhere. But
precisely,
it was also joyriding was a thing. You don't really get joyriding now because you used to just get kids would just break into a Nova or Fiesta and just. Do you know what? I won't steal the podcast, I promise. But I've got a small story on this. My cousin had a Fiesta. Oh God, was it an XR2i? It was a nice one. But this was in the early 2000s. So it was by that point they were old and it was parked outside my parents' house and it got stolen. But it had no fuel in it, and they called the police, and they found it about half a mile away. Police came around to check it. It was all good. Nothing was in it. It clearly just been hot-wired and stolen as a joyride, because when we put the key in the ignition, or my parents did, turned it on, and the radio was at full blast on a pirate radio station.
Oh my God,
so
that's
it was
so
clearly
cool.
the classic, you can just imagine the kind of kids that stole it. I mean, in a way, I kind of look back on it with nostalgia now. It's like an Ali G style episode, the beginning scene where they're rolling around in the Renault 5.
The only thing he left behind was this Adidas shell suit.
Exactly.
I see.
So that type of crime was a thing as well. Don't think that's so much of a thing anymore. It's more, they're on the e-scooters now.
You can't really imagine someone doing that with a DB5 though.
No, they would have
also,
to put it on wheels first.
It sticks out quite a lot. So you'd imagine back then in the 80s, you'd be looking at Novas driving around and you go, up to 90% of them are stolen. Whereas if you see a DB5 being driven around, one of 39, it's going to stand out a little bit more. So, and it sounds like, we're talking about a car that was developed in the 1960s. Yeah. I imagine if it sits around for a couple of summers, winters, it'll fall into disrepair pretty damn quickly. So obviously we've got some great comments with it. So Nismo48 says, what a brilliant story. Hats off to the guy for holding on to his dream car. It's now in such magnificent condition, perhaps high days and holidays, keeping it away from salty roads. This feels very one show, doesn't it? It's like, oh, how lovely! What a lovely story. Mark Coots said, I bought a 1966 DB6 Auto back in 1974 for the princely sum of £1,495 and ran it as my daily driver. When the auto box failed, I had a friend convert it to manual with a ZF 5-speed purchased from an outfit in South London who restored Astons. Then I got allocated a company car and the DB6 got less use, so I stored it in a barn behind a pub in Hertford. Someone came along after a year or two and offered to buy it, and we settled at £2,500. NBY 929D disappeared on a trailer, and I often wondered what happened to it. When Aston prices took off, I mused that I could have kept it and made a handsome profit, but I suspect the accumulation of cost over the years would have absorbed much of the gain. I think DB6s aren't quite as sought after as DB5s or 4s for that. I think 4s are really quite popular. But still, I mean, it is a very pretty car.
Slightly more aero headlight.
You definitely would have made more money on it than £2,500 if you had kept it. I think even you sometimes see with some of the auctions, there's, a car turns up and it's just wheels and a body and that's it. And it sells for tens of thousands, if not hundreds, just because of the restoration potential. But as we can see from this, if it is, you can sink a lot of money into it to restore it and seemingly potentially get even more money back, because it's the time and the hassle, and it's the hassle, but also it's the story of, I really like that this car was restored and it's been given a new lease of life versus I've just bought the freshest one that I can find.
Also, to our DB6 former owner, they would have had to have had a long list of very expensive bills to really outweigh the value of them now, because look at that, over $250,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible you could spend that much in that time on it.
True.
But you probably also could not spend that much on it.
But then again, if you were going for a massive restoration that would set you back mid six figures, then you'd have your dream car still. I'd love to know what you ended up buying, Mark Coots, because with £2,500, that could literally have been the Fiesta that we were just talking about. A slightly different kind of car. And this got me thinking, Sam Sheehan, about what would you get if you went through the PistonHeads classifieds with £1,000? I'm going to up it from the original 900 for inflation. And what can you find for £1,000 that you could justify doing for a restoration? So you've had to dig through. What have you found?
Well, bearing in mind that £1,000 is about a tenth of what the DB5 owner would have spent on that in when you convert the money.
Yes,
that's
with actual inflation.
That's reflective in my choice.
Yeah.
I've found though, and I have a soft spot for these, mainly because my favourite Formula 1 driver was Michael Schumacher, and I think he did some advertising with this. I'm pretty sure they had a model named after him. You might have guessed what it is already. It's a Fiat Seicento Sporting, which, believe it or not, with 55 horsepower was the hot version.
Okay. Yes. Yes, I remember those. Wait,
55 horses.
Was that the sporting? That's not the Michael Schumacher. No, it's not. So it's the silver. Michael Schumacher edition was just yellow with red seats, was it not?
Yeah, exactly. So they had it.
They made it any faster.
There was even an Abarth version as well. Apparently, this is from my research. I actually forgot about that. I never really. But they had little red stickers on them. I think little red Abarth wheel centers as well. This one's just your regular sporting. So it's got an 1100cc engine, but that is 200cc bigger than the standard car and 16 horsepower more as well. And I'm told via the internet that it got a closer ratio gearbox. So it's actually quite a. It's not very quick if you were to, I guess, get up to motorway speeds, but at lower speeds, it's probably quite fun.
For nipping around central Rome, that's just marvellous. It does make me think, though, that my car, my ST 2005, is, I think weight-wise, I think it's probably about 1,200 kilos.
Yeah.
And it's got 150 horsepower. And if I get in it, obviously it's fine. When someone else gets in and they could be light as a feather, there is a notable dip in performance. Yeah. When you've got a 55... Okay, so it's lugging around 400 kilos less, this Seicento. But it's... I could still imagine, though, that adding more people in that is going to make quite a significant difference to its performance. And I'm also thinking of, can it get up a hill?
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, the one I found is a bit rough around the edges, so it's crying out for a restoration. It's actually £995. You got £5 in the pot straight away to put towards some new plates. I don't think you can get plates for £5 these days, but it's it needs a bit of love. But at the same time, it's only had 6 owners. It's 41,000 miles. So
my lord, that's extremely low miles.
So it's got a long MOT. It says long MOT on the ad. So I presume it's all good underneath as well.
The paintwork's in better condition than on the...
and then the Aston.
Oh, wait, hang on a minute. Sorry. I've just noticed in the description, that's not 41,000 miles. They've accidentally missed off a 1.
Oh, you're
right.
That's
141,000 miles. But still...
Doesn't make any difference. It's got a long MOT.
We're talking about restoration cars here.
Yeah.
It doesn't...
Oh, yeah, they have.
Yeah, it doesn't quite match the excitement of the Aston Martin, but it is silver and has a very tenuous link to one of the greatest Formula 1 drivers ever.
Via another version of that car.
Absolutely, yes. I, however, went digging and I found a Rover 100 Knightsbridge in purple. This has actually been this has come up a few times. This one, however, is genuinely low mileage. We're talking 33,300 miles, and there's a picture to actually show it as well, which is marvelous. £999, 2 previous owners, and while it definitely looks like it could do with a little restoration. I don't think you would need to trouble Aston Martin Works for this.
No.
Mainly because they would turn you away. But there's a
bit of rust.
There is some... Yes, it's not aluminium bodied like the DB5. But so there's a little bit of rust. That would need a bit of work doing to it. But what you would get in return is a 5-door Rover 100 in purple, metallic purple, which I actually think looks really cool.
Yeah.
With cloth seats, and we all know that cloth is the fabric or the material of choice for the upper class, because the idea supposedly was that it was in a horse and cart or a horse-drawn carriage. Got there in the end. It was the driver on the outside had a leather seat because they were exposed to the elements, whereas when you were inside in your bubble from the elements and commoners, then you had cloth fabric, because that was interesting, more luxurious. Yeah, exactly.
It's funny actually, because when you go to like a National Trust manor or something, and you look at the poshest chair in the room, it's always covered in a cloth, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, about to say, no one goes with leather seats. Yeah, precisely, because they were thinking differently back then. Also, it might still be for sale, but I did a spotted on a Toyota Century recently.
Oh yeah,
which is a Japanese manor palace on wheels.
Was it a V12?
It was a V12. Yes, this was the V12 one. It's the only Toyota V12 ever made in a production car, and it's the whole interior of that is cloth, and they even had doily. This one didn't, but they used to have doily curtains and seat covers, because that was just luxury.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you want to have a story of your own with 900-ish pounds and want to do a restoration, 2 fantastic cars served up by Sam Sheehan and I. But this isn't our topic for this week's buying challenge. Now, before I get into that, we are ever so nearly at the end of the year, if you're listening to this on the 2025 side of the new year. Therefore, you've only got a couple of weeks left to get your early bird discounts on PistonHeads annual service tickets. It's basically our mega show of the year. We only do it once, unlike some other shows where they might do it quarterly or once every 6 months. We do just the one in the year. It's on the 8th of August at Bicester Motion, and we make use of the whole site, not just the little tarmac bit out the front, in front of the hangar. We take over the whole place, and we cram pretty much any area of tarmac or grass with a car. So it really is just an epic day out if you love cars. Great for families too, because we've got loads of stuff to do. I'll be talking away on a live stage if you want to sit down, and you can tune me out if you want. Bring your noise cancelling headphones along. But if you don't, I'm going to have a group of really cool speakers to come along and talk through stuff, and all people who are far more interesting than I am. But it's also great just to go and wander around the car park, because the car park is so good. And we actually had a buying challenge recently of a chap who was trying to find a car that could contribute to a car meet car park. That's the sort of people that come to a PistonHeads annual service. They want a car that contributes to the car park. So come along, go to, I think it's pistonheads.com/events/annual-service. That's the direct link, or you can just Google annual service, go there, get your early bird tickets. I'd love to see you there. It's such a great day. And if you need a car to come along in, well, maybe this next section will help you. So topic 2 this week is from North and South. And they say, having spent the last couple of days in a rental Kia Picanto, !
Fastest car in the world.
Fastest car in the world, especially a rental one. I have been reminded how much I miss driving a manual car. Isn't it amazing that a Kia Picanto can make you feel like that?
Yeah.
I can make a case for a third car up to about £10,000. Basically, I'm wondering what car offers the best gear change and general ergonomics whilst being able to deal with British roads and having the zip to overtake when required. My other 2 cars cover practicality, speed, and performance between them. I've had hot hatches in the past and would rule out something like an RS Clio 182, sorry Sam, as I really didn't rate the high seat position and pedals, even though it was great fun to drive in general. Similarly, I don't rate the general ergonomics of something like a Caterham.
Ergonomics and Caterham.
I don't think it's
those words don't go together.
It's basically just a panel with some switches and a steering wheel screwed onto it. And I want to be able to drive this in all seasons. I don't mind having an engine that needs to rev out, as long as there is a bit of power in there when required, in brackets, though I'm thinking this is going to be more about carrying momentum than outright speed, close brackets. Could be hot hatch, sports car, rally vibes, whatever. Any ideas welcome? Well, North and South, we've got some ideas. And I'm going to pass the ball on to my co-presenter, Sam Sheehan. Sam, what you got?
Well, just to say, by the way, Clio 182 gearbox, not actually that great. It's all right, but it's not that great.
Is it not?
Well,
it's such a legendary hot hatch.
The gearbox is definitely not the star of the show. It's not bad. But anyway, I have a 182 if you don't know, but I've also got an NC Mazda MX-5. So I can tell you straight off that that gearbox is another level of loveliness and just preciseness, which is why I've chosen one. But this one is considerably nicer than the car I have. The car I have is an 06 and it's a bit rough around the edges and works perfectly fine. But this one here is quite lovely. It's a 2-litre and it's also a 2013 car, so it's fairly modern. It's the facelift.
It's the facelift, yeah.
So it's got the slightly more optimistic face, which is a tiny difference.
It is very happy, but then again, Mazda MX-5s are very happy cars.
They are, and the drivers are always happy because the gearbox is lovely. And this one's only had one owner.
Yeah.
And this one is 45,000 miles. I don't spot any typos in this. Yeah, it's written twice there, so definitely 45,000 miles.
Great.
It's the 160 horsepower 2-litre, but it means it's got that lovely, quick 6-speed manual gearbox, the weighting on the clutch. Mazda, I mean, even now in their most normal of cars, they nail this stuff. They nail it every single time. A little bit like Honda, actually. So this car is a perfect example of that. And while I think I am right in saying the Mark IV gearbox might just be that little bit extra lovely because it just improved it further. And the gear knob itself has been nice. So this one is really, really good. And it's not, he said he was happy to rev it out. It's not the quickest car in the world, but it rewards being worked, and the driving position is proper sports car. I nearly thought EP3 Civic Type R, great car, great position of the gearbox, but this just feels extra special because you're sat a bit lower in the car. I mean, the seat actually, just a caveat, you actually probably could do with lowering the seat a bit more in many of these, but it's an easy modification to make. But generally speaking, just a lovely way to just bounce between steering wheel and gear shift.
Is it quite a chody shifter?
No.
I always thought that. No.
Unless this one's got something aftermarket.
I mean, you've got one of these, so it's a pre-facelift.
It's
not, because it's something I like about an MX-5 gearbox or gear lever is that it's just there. It's not quite Civic Type R EP3 just there, but it's just like as you said, ergonomics is big for North and South. Yeah. And MX-5 ergonomics is sublime.
It depends on your expectation of a chode. Because I would say...
It's not quite catering chody,
it's not, I was about to say some of them you see especially on modified track cars, they're like length of your thumb, aren't they? This one's got a bit more length to it. If someone's just tuned in and they don't know what we're talking about... We're
talking about something that's a gear lever that's the handle sits quite close to the base of the H pattern.
But what the good? Oh, actually, I've just seen this one does need a little. The actual knob itself, it's a bit worn down. I think you could say, but they're easily replaced. I mean, I replaced mine, and the shift action on these. This is 45,000 miles. Mine has 145,000 miles, and it still feels super fresh. They're just really well made, and I think the reward of shifting gears in this, because the engine isn't actually that powerful, you have to work it a lot harder, is really high.
And it's the 2 litre. I mean, it's the same engine that I've got in my car, and it's a brilliant engine. I love that.
It's a Ford engine, isn't it?
It is. Or is it a Mazda engine that's Ford use? I don't know.
No, I think I'm pretty sure it's a Ford engine. Yeah,
it's a great thing. The only thing is that Mazda MX-5s are obvious. So what else have you got?
Yeah. Well. This one, I guess the Honda Civic Type R EP3 that I mentioned earlier. This is a Honda, but it's the S2000.
Yes.
Another one where you have to work the engine very hard, but the reward is even greater in this. And the gearboxes in these are fab. And again, Japanese engineering. High mileage, doesn't matter. I mean, this car's 107,000 miles is of no issue if it's been, just routinely serviced. And so this gearbox is another one positioned perfectly. Nice weighting, just a lovely gearbox to use. And because the engine itself is so exciting, I guess it adds another element. You're controlling a very high revving motor. This is not the earliest of ones, so I don't think it revs as high as the early ones. But
I see, right, yeah. So this is a 2003 car. So I think the first update came in 2002, 2003. These, more importantly though, they have 240 horsepower. So one of the issues that we've had with the EP3 we've spoken about here is that they feel pretty gutless right up until you're near the red line. You've actually said you've driven one of these. Yeah. So, I mean, does it feel zestier than an EP3?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's still by modern standards. It's still, it's not going to terrorize anything, a hot hatch of the last 10 years really in a straight line, but it feels quick enough to be exciting, and the engine makes a good sound, and just because the gearbox is lovely, and obviously being a drop top adds a whole other element. I know it's not something our PH is after, but I think there's something about shifting manual gears in a drop top. It's just really fun.
It's true. They've not ruled it out though, and that's fine. And you're not, unless you get one of the special S2000s that they didn't sell here. They're all soft tops.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for me excites me more than an MX-5. But then again, I'm not I like an MX-5. I'm not an MX-5 guy. You are.
Well,
you have one.
I have one. I mean, I would have a Cayman GT4 if I could afford one. So I'd call myself a Cayman GT4 guy in waiting.
But the question is, before we carry on, is if you got rid of that tomorrow, would you then? Let's say someone went away. Someone took your MX-5 away. They went for a joyride. Would you go, oh no, my MX-5's gone? Would you go and replace it with another MX-5?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think my scenario will be quite common. It's basically the best car on the budget I wanted to spend. So yes, because I wouldn't want to use a stolen car as an excuse to go and spend more money. I would just use the money I get back for it to buy something equivalent. Funnily enough, I found one in PH, so I could probably do a quick swap straight away. So there's a very similar car to mine at about the same price on PH now. So yes, but if I were happier to spend more money or able to spend more money, then I probably would go for something a little bit more interesting. I agree with you. They're not the most exciting cars.
Like an MD MX-5?
Well, that is a big step forward, especially with that 180 horsepower 2-litre. They're actually quite considerably quicker, or they feel quicker.
Yeah.
And that gearbox is so lovely. And they feel smaller on the road. But no, I mean, I think purely from the shift point of view, both the NC MX-5 and this Honda S2000 kind of offer similarly great things.
Yeah. Good car. Have you got another?
I have. And do you know what? This one's probably the gearbox on this. I ran a non. So this is an R53 Mini Cooper S. It's an 04 car, 46,000 miles, all kind of in the same kind of range here. Now, I know the gearboxes on these, you wouldn't necessarily go for one of these because of the gearbox. You go for one of these because it whines, because it has a supercharger. And that's the correct answer. And it also looks great. They've aged fantastically well. But I ran a R50, and it was actually a Mini 1, believe it or not, Cooper. And Cooper, sorry, it was a Mini 1, not Cooper. Oh, yeah. Mini is what I meant to say. It's the gearbox was pretty good. It wasn't the most exciting gearbox out there, but it was a nice gearbox. And because of the positioning where you sit, you get to sit, this PH has mentioned the Clio 182 seat being too high. They're absolutely right. And the ergonomics are a bit off in that car. But in this, they're not. It's bang on. And it's not. There are not many hatchbacks to this day that you get into. There are not many hatchbacks quite literally now, but even the ones that survive, that nail a seating position and ergonomics and gear positioning as well as this car. So they really nailed it from the off. And I just think it makes the gearbox really exciting and enjoyable to use, even if in isolation, it isn't the greatest gearbox ever known to man.
Yeah, we might get onto this in a bit. It's obviously a BMW. I assume it's a BMW gearbox. I quite like a BMW gearbox. I never really get the hate for them, to be honest. But these R53 mini hatches are just so cool. Yeah. They're really, really, really cool. I think they've aged wonderfully. I remember the backlash when these first came out, because it was like, that's not a mini, and they're so much smaller compared to everything else now. And
Madonna had one.
She did. You were talking about this earlier, and you said, I really want Madonna's car.
Yeah. Not for weird reasons, just because I think the spec's great. Not because I want to just say I've got Madonna's car and then, just be a Madonna fanboy all day long. It's because it's the coolest spec. It was all black. It had beautiful silver wheels, black leather interior. This one's blue, and I love this shade of blue with the white stripes and roof. But there's just, I don't know why, but I think it's probably because of all the chrome. It has a lot of chrome on it, doesn't it? The R50,
it does, yes.
R53.
Nice bright work.
And I think that against the black, it actually works really well. It means a black car doesn't look invisible.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a brilliantly designed car. And just an immense amount of fun. Those are three really good cars, actually, annoyingly. Sorry, that Mini is 7845. So we're actually quite a bit below budget as well. So you could even just go and make a few little, kind of tidy up some bits. You could even do your own little restoration on it. It also doesn't have the body kit on it, which I always thought was kind of cool until recently when I saw one out in the wild and I realised that the back of the factory body kit, I thought it was a grill. It's not. It's a sticker. Next to the exhaust, there's like a goldy thing that looks like a grill, but they're lying. It's a sticker. So there you go. My cars. I have chosen to begin with. This actually would have made a really good contribution to last week's one of cars that get a bad reputation but are actually really good. And it's the Lotus Elan M100.
Oh, yeah.
This is a car that we actually did a hero on this last year or the year before. And I was really happy to see it because it's, not only did I learn a lot about it, but, I think it's the front-wheel drive Lotus Elan. It sounds criminal, but really there was really quite an innovative suspension setup at the front. So the clever thing that they came up with, and I have a really rubbish understanding of this because it is quite technical, but I think they called it the raft system, of where the suspension wasn't bolted directly to the chassis, but rather there was a soft bush in between, I believe, that damped out a lot of the kind of vibration and nastiness of a front-wheel drive car going through the steering. But it also helped massively with torque steer, cornering, and it's one of those innovations, a bit like the Revo knuckle on the Mark II Focus RS, of where it's like
smart stuff.
It's just a really clever way of getting around torque steer and making a front wheel drive car handle brilliantly. So I think people are now clocking on to how good these actually are. So this one's up for 9,995. It's got 48,000 miles on the clock, 5 previous owners, 1.6 litre engine, but it's red, which means it looks fab.
It has a tax disc.
It's still wearing its tax
got
disc.
A 2014 tax disc.
And have a look at that engine bay. Yeah. It is immaculate. Someone has really cared for this, which is just fantastic.
Wow.
Aging like a very nice wine indeed. So that's my first shout. Slightly left field choice, but I'd happily have one of those. Second choice is it's a Volkswagen Golf Mark V Edition 30. So it's a little over budget at 10,995. It's amazing how strong Mark V GTI values are now. The kind of the visual difference is body color bumpers. So you used to get these really kind of nasty thick black plastic at the back of a Mark V. That's body color. This one is silver, but you also get these beautiful BBS style wheels on them. But I'm going to make you jealous now. Last year, I drove one of these Edition 30s at the Nordschleife on the parade lap of the Nürburgring 24-hour race.
That's so cool. What was the car? Was it
it was their heritage, the Volkswagen Museum's Edition 30. I have never been so overwhelmed with joy driving a car, maybe ever. So people will know that we had a Mark V GTI project car. I loved that car a lot. It was good fun. There's definitely things I probably would have done a little bit differently now, having driven it and built it and stuff. And then I got in that Edition 30 and I was like, wow, this feels rapid from the get-go. It's definitely noticeably quicker. Great gear shift. Yeah. But what I was doing is I was in a train of loads of other GTIs. So there was a guy leading. Oh no, sorry, a guy. It's because the person who was riding next to him was an influencer from Austria, who's a very lovely fellow. But the guy who was driving it was a chap called Hans Stuck, Hans Joachim Stuck, who is obviously a legend. And
was he pedaling quite fast?
Well, it was a parade, so it was a parade of GTIs because it was the anniversary of the Golf GTI. Yeah, and so. He wasn't going for it, but he told me some stories that I can't repeat on here, sadly. But all I say is there's a story that I'd heard about Hans Joachim Stuck about distracting a teammate by lifting up someone's shirt on a pit straight. And I always thought it was a rumor, but no, he told it. He just came over and then. We'd never met him before, and he just started telling me the story, and I was like, "This is amazing."
I love that he just brings that up.
Just brings it up. Yeah.
Here's this thing I did.
Yeah, but say he's a real joker, and he's like, "Yeah, my teammate crashed," and I'm like, "What?" But anyway, enough about that. Great car. I enjoyed it thoroughly. There's a massive premium on these. Yeah, they have not. Don't seem to be going any lower. So, 11 grand for an 84,000 mile car with 5 previous owners. It does look to be in great condition, and it's got the tartan seats, which is all good.
It's got the gear lever, the gear knob on them is the golf ball.
It's the golf ball.
It feels really good. It's weird, isn't it? You wouldn't think that'd be an ergonomic shape, but it does feel right.
I think I've not had the pleasure of driving a Mark 7 GTI, and I did try and get in the Club Sport S that Hans Joachim Stuck was driving, but unfortunately that Austrian influencer got there before me. But I got the second best thing, and brilliant car. But the car I'm going to put forward, I'm doing it partly because of the spec, and I'm saving north and south £2,000 here as well, or £2,050, is a BMW Z4 3 litre, which is 7,950 with 40,000 miles on the clock, 1 previous owner. And it's in kind of like a maroon, like almost a purpley maroon.
I love it. I don't think I would have ever...
Black leather interior.
If you told me that, if you described it to me, so for the listeners, you really got to check it out because it looks good, man. That just works.
when I showed you this,
Yeah.
I couldn't even speak from shock of what an immaculate, what a fine example this is. The spec is just perfect. I absolutely love this. Maybe if it had a cream interior, maybe I would like it a little bit more. But that's not to everybody's taste. Black leather interior always going to go down absolutely fine. You're getting a 3-litre straight six with it. You're getting a car, so it's going to feel relatively quick. Those old 3 litres just have a wonderful mix of power and torque. So it's just going to feel wonderfully linear. I've actually got a name now for the colour, sorry. It's Merlot Red Metallic over full black Oregon leather. It's the kind of car that's going to make me go home and look at my bank account and figure out if I can go and buy it, because it's brilliant. Now, I did say earlier, BMW gear shift, then it's not to everybody's taste, because there's a slight rubberiness to it, isn't it? It doesn't have that kind of, it doesn't feel, you can't feel the cogs essentially going, from one to the next. It
definitely
has that
less
kind
mechanical.
It is a little less mechanical. But I quite like it. I think, again, for a slightly, something like a roadster, like a Z4, I think it's going to be absolutely fine. That's the car I'm going to put forward. I love it.
Yeah. Do you know, just to throw in the BMW gearbox stuff, like I think that it doesn't have, like, compared to a Lotus or something where it's really quite a mechanical feel. You still know where you're at with the BMW gearbox.
True.
It's not a vague gearbox. They're always really good and they flow through the gate really neatly, don't they? Oh, that's tricky for me. I think I'm going to go with the S2000. I love. That's
a good rivalry though, right there, isn't it?
I love the R53, and I actually think that's the car. If I had the cash right now, it's the one I'd buy, because I've got an NC, so it'd be nice to have a R53.
Yeah.
But I've always enjoyed and loved high revving Hondas when they have more low down torque.
Marvelous. And I love straight six BMW. So if you're listening to this on Spotify or watching, there will be a poll up, so you can choose between my car or Sam's car. But if you think that we did a rubbish job, what you can do is I'll put a story up on the PistonHeads homepage. Click on that. There'll be a link to the topic. Go and put your own suggestions in there, and you can even leave a little message to say, I listened to this and Cam and Sam's suggestions were rubbish. And you can also check out PistonHeads auctions as well. Now, we're recording this a couple of weeks in advance because we're coming up to Christmas and there's obviously a lot going on at the moment. So always check the PistonHeads auctions, because we have cars with superb manual gearboxes going up all the time. Or if you've got a car that you'd like to sell on auctions that's got a superb manual gearbox, or anything that's premium performance or collectible, just go to pistonheads.com/sell, choose auctions, put your car details in, and a consignor will be in touch. Now, before we get into our last subject, we're still running our Michelin tyre promo. You can get up to £100 off a new set of Michelin tyres. Go to pistonheads.com/Michelin, put your car details in, see how much you can save. Up to £100 on a new set of Michelin tyres. Cool. Right. Our last topic, Sam Sheehan, and everybody listening at home. This is something that I'm sure we can all relate to.
Oh, yes.
The most embarrassing car of my past to drive now. So this was posted by RDMCG. And I say, I don't mean starter cars from your youth. I had lots of those, from a 1956 Ford Popular to a rusted out Fiat 124. Nope. As an adult, I had gotten a promotion and they delivered my new company car, a Buick LeSabre Limited. Vinyl top, column gear shift, fake wire wheel covers, deep velour upholstery, speed limited to 100 miles per hour.
Oh, yes.
Even at the time, it pretty much defined the anti-driver's car. It was like living in a sofa and caused me to want to take up a pipe and wear a wide brim hat and white shoes. Ugh. Looking back at the cars of my past, it remains a towering single finger to the idea that cars should be fun. It was quiet and comfortable, and I still have a sofa that fulfills that purpose. Does anyone have a worse car from their adult life? Now, Alautum says, sold my first RX-8 for this beast, and they've uploaded a picture.
Oh, no.
Yeah, of a...
Oh, no.
Of a Chrysler PT Cruiser.
Feeling a little bit queasy.
Oh, yeah, that's horrible. But Chrysler Queasy Cruiser.
What a change. What an exchange.
Look why they got rid of it. It lasted all of 2 weeks as the boat-like motion made their wife nauseous.
Yeah.
The look of it makes me nauseous.
If you watch The American Office as well, I love that it's just subtly, main guy's car. I don't know if you watched it, but it was. They never made any significant reference to it, but you just knew it was part of the joke.
Well, was it not a Chrysler Sebring?
I can't remember.
I think it's a Chrysler Sebring. There might have been a PT Cruiser in there as well, but I mean, it's a terrible car either way.
Yeah.
WJB, being almost 40, driving this now would probably raise more questions than answers. And he's posted a picture of a Fiesta RS Turbo. And that makes me feel a little bit targeted because it's a blue Fiesta RS Turbo, nearly in his 40s. I'm in my early 30s still. But I think driving a Fiesta ST in blue in your early 30s is, I get it. There's an image thing of where if I come out dressed, I don't know, dressed up to look nice and I get out of a ratty Fiesta ST, it doesn't quite look right, but you know what? I don't freaking care.
I also don't agree. I think attitudes have changed. I think that car is really, really cool. Yours as well, Cam. That's also yours I'm talking about.
Well, you know, I'm feeling there's a lot of, yeah.
I think these are really cool. I think if you're 40 years old and you hop out of that's a mid-90s, wasn't it? Mark III Fiesta.
Mark 5? No, Mark 4. Mark 4, sorry.
Mark 4. There you go. And it's an RS Turbo.
I think it was the RS Turbo.
Super cool. I don't see how that's uncool.
It's a ridiculously cool car. Have no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with having a sporty Fiesta RS at that age. Now, Willie Ferris says, had one of these little beauties for about 18 months. A Rover 216 SLI in a gunmetal grey colour, complete with hubcaps and grey velour interior. The whole car was epitomised by the grey on grey colour scheme. I will get onto that in a bit. What a soulless turd. Over-assisted steering, crushy yet soft suspension. God help you if it was wet, as it wouldn't go around corners and roundabouts were lethal.
Blimey.
The only redeeming feature about it was the 1.6 litre Honda lump that was actually quite lovely and keen to rev. Only thing is, at this time I loved it. Looking back, WTF was I thinking? The only other car that was as bad was a very brief period with a Chrysler Voyager. Another Chrysler! Now, don't even get me started on that. This one is incredibly relatable because I was going to say, they said no first cars, but my first car was especially turd-like. And it was a 1.3i Hyundai Accent. I've said here before that the reason is because it was kind of like the Hyundai Accent rally cars that were competing 5 to 6 years before I bought it. It had zero performance of it, but it was the 3-door. But it was very much a grey on grey on grey. Getting into it was like being in a cloud because it was just an array of slightly different greys, all of which had just like the hintest of browny grey to it as well. So it was not a nice grey in the slightest.
What year was it?
2002.
Yeah, 2002.
12,000 miles when I bought it.
12,000 miles.
12,000 miles when I bought it in 2010. Yeah, incredible. It was a truly, and again in the wet, a terrible car. I took a roundabout in it, perhaps with a smidgen too much vigor, and the understeer was catastrophic.
Not enough handbrake.
Nearly put me into a lamppost. It was so bad.
Yeah.
So yes, I completely feel that, and it was not like it was on rubbish tires at the time. It was just a terrible car. So was I embarrassed by it? Not really. I don't give a damn about my appearance at all. But it was definitely one of those things where I was the only 17-year-old in the college car park who had a Hyundai Accent. Sam, have you got any experience with this?
I'll have to break the rule as well because it is my first car, but that's because the industry we work in, right? That I literally went from this car to my Clio 182, and then since then, and then I've got the Mazda as well. But I've had press cars a lot, so you just don't buy as many cars. So you just kind of. But my first car was a Mark II facelift, so Mark II B, I think unofficially, 1.2, 8 valve, not the 16 valve. The engine was a Fire, F-I-R-E, Fiat Punto. Wow. And that was terribly modified. Do you know what? It was an active sport, and I see them now very rarely. They don't really survive in the UK, but I was in Italy the other day, and I saw one in black with the 15-inch wheels, and I thought, you know what? That was a tidy design. I actually think the pre-facelift was even tidier because it had the cool headlights shared with some performance MG-ery.
Oh, yes. Is that the one that was with the... the same headlights as the MGX Power?
Yeah, Fiat came first, I think.
I think so. Oh, yes, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah,
but mine didn't have that. I had the bigger headlights, but I modified it pretty badly. I put minus 50 mil Spax lowering springs.
50 mil?
Yeah. So it was pretty low, actually. And I ran 17-inch Wolf Race alloy wheels from Halfords, second hand as well. So they were curbed to, hell when I got them.
Yeah.
Budget tires as well. But the main issue was big, heavy 17-inch wheels. That's a 2-inch gain in diameter, a 50 mil reduction in ride height, but standard. And I think at the time about 60,000 mile old dampers.
Yeah.
So it did pogo stick quite a lot. And I forgot, and there was a subwoofer in the boot. Whoops.
So what you're basically admitting to is that the car was totally fine until you got your hands on it, and then you made it embarrassing.
Look, they're actually not terrible cars as standard because they did the job. They were a city car. The same way people still like a Fiat 500, a modern 500 today. That was not dissimilar in those days, a little Punto, just town runabout. Yeah, I modified it. Made it much worse. But, oh, God, I loved it. And I don't regret a day. I don't regret a pound.
Oh, that's good. I like things like that where, it's maybe we've missed this actually, because with the people here deeply regret the cars that they had. I would be the same if I had a Chrysler PT Cruiser. I remember when they were new and there was someone in my school car park who had one, and they were rubbish then and they are rubbish now. But hey, we all make mistakes. Yeah. I bought a Hyundai Accent as my first car.
But there's something just about the sensibleness of that car. I think, the mums would have thought, sensible kid. Wish my kid was more like that.
Great. That's exactly what a 17-year-old wants. The mums will love it. Amazing. And on that note, it's time to end today's episode of the Gassing Station podcast. Thank you ever so much for listening. If you like what you listen to, please leave us a 5-star review and maybe some nice words too. It just helps us know that we're on the right track, and it helps also spread the word because the algorithms go, a 5-star review, it must be good. Let me go and put it in front of other people who like cars, and we can spread car enthusiasm back out because it seems to be fading a little bit. We've still got another episode to go before the holiday break, so I'll leave all the Christmas themed stuff until next week. But Sam, anything to end on?
I will just be going out and searching for more good news stories relating to more interesting petrol engine cars, potentially based on modified electric platforms. Rest assured, I will be asking every single CEO and engineer I come across.
Or maybe if there isn't any news, maybe we just make it up and it will force them to go and do it.
I'll join some dots that are very far apart.
Perfect. And on that note, I shall see you next Tuesday.